Edrick Houston must take the next step this spring and become the leader Ohio State's defensive line needs.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Hump Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the number one sports podcast network. I am your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we will discuss some interesting position battles between edge rushers and on the interior of the Buckeyes D line. But first, as we get closer to spring practice, we're going to dive into some players that need to step up, not only to become bigger leaders in their position rooms, but simply to become better football players. And one of those guys that's at the top of my mind on defense is Edrick Houston, trying to replace the shoes of Tyrone Malone Jr. and Cade McDonald from last year's D-line are going to be very big. Edrick Houston played in 13 of the 14 Buckeye games from last year. He was a big piece of the pie, but now he is going to be asked to do a whole lot more to replace a lot of interior force on the interior of the defensive line and make sure he takes the next step in his development. And he can do it now. You don't have to wait until spring ball starts about a week from now. No, he can start doing some things currently. First, in winter workouts, he should have been making sure that he did everything properly there, but also getting his mind right and being determined to be more consistent. We have seen the flashes and the talent that Edrick Houston has, but one thing that I think set him back last year to be more consistent was the injury he suffered during fall camp. I believe it was practice 1 or 2. He went down with a lower body injury, and I don't know if he ever fully recovered from that injury throughout the season. Now, playing 13 or 14 games while being injured, that's a testament in and of itself that you are mentally strong and you're physically strong enough to push yourself through an injury where some guys wouldn't be able to go. However, that did hurt his development and consistency because it was clear that he wasn't hitting the ways that you thought he was going to be playing when he was on the field. Now it's the time for him to get his body right, get his mind right, to be a player that the Buckeyes can rely on the interior of the defensive line. Now, he doesn't play the same position as Tyleik Williams and Cade McDonald as far as being the nose tackle, but Edrick Houston's impact should be just as big. He could be the next guy up in that interior of the D-line. They can be 3 straight years of having first-round picks at D tackle for the Buckeyes. Just think about how big and rare that is across the landscape of college football to have 3 straight years where the 3 different guys that are first-round picks at that position. That's what's at stake right now. Now, that's about a year from now, and that's if Edrick Houston decides to declare early for the NFL draft. If he doesn't, and you get 2 more years of Edrick Houston getting better, getting stronger, understanding the playbook better, leaning into Matt Patricia's coaching, he can have the same relationship with Patricia that Cade McDonald did, that they just light up like kids in a candy shop. They dab each other up. They hug. They're very excited to be around each other, not only because Patricia helps Edrick Houston be a better player on the field, but he helps him off the field too. Now, Edrick Houston's impact and desire and need to step up is not only on the field. It's to be a better leader in every area that Ohio State needs him to lead. In that position room, there are a lot of new faces, especially at D tackle. You got James Smith, who came in from Alabama. You have John Walker, who came in from UCF. You can go on the edge and discuss Russaw. You have some guys that are some freshmen that are coming in that could be big pieces of the pie. There are some guys there in this room that are going to be looking to Edrick Houston to look and see how he responds when he gets called out in practice, to look and see how he approaches every day, how he handles workouts, how he handles his film study, how he handles everything. Because they're going to be looking at him and say, well, he's in year 3 in this program. He committed to Ohio State out of high school, and he hasn't gone anywhere else. He's been a Ryan Day guy through and through. And when you're that guy, and if somebody comes in and they look at you and how you're carrying yourself, and they think, oh, if he's doing it, it's okay for me to do it. If he's going up and keep the standard high, well, I got to keep the standard high. If he's taking plays off and if he's walking around instead of jogging or running, well, maybe I can do that too. and that's bringing the standard down. Now, I'm not saying Edrick Houston is going to do that, but these young guys are going to be looking at him every single day to see how he steps, how he runs, how he lifts, how he works out away from the weight. They're watching his every move, and they're going to look to see, well, I'm competing with that guy. I'm competing with him, and he's slacking off here. Man, look, I can beat him. At the same time, if you're competing with him and he's going harder than he's ever gone, then baby, you got to push yourself too, because you want that job that he's trying to get. This position room desperately needs leaders. They got Kenyatta Jackson Jr., who I think is going to be a phenomenal leader. And I mean, it's great for the Buckeyes that they were able to keep him around for one more year, because he could have gone to the NFL or even hit the portal. Nope. He is sticking around at Ohio State for his final year of eligibility. And I believe KJ has an opportunity to be an all Big Ten guy, first team guy, potentially an All-American at the end of the day. Now, he is also somebody else that must take the next step in his development, and consistency is key with him. Consistency is key with Edrick Houston, too. Remember, Larry Johnson's still here. So there's all this conversation to talk about, well, Hartline's gone. Here comes Cortez Hankton. Well, Patricia may go to the NFL. No, he's sticking around. His contract is getting extended. Okay, Arthur Smith is coming in, but that doesn't help impact the defense. So Larry Johnson is still here. And while Larry Johnson has been a guy that people have doubted and tried to push out of Columbus, these players want to play for him. All of them want to play for Larry Johnson. I remember a couple of years ago, I was working at FedEx at the airport in Indianapolis, and I was talking to a guy that used to play at BYU. His brother is currently playing at Oklahoma, but his brother was in the recruiting process, took a visit to Ohio State. The guy I worked with went with the family to the visit to Columbus, and he was discussing different schools that were recruiting his brother. And, of course, this was on the heels of that Ohio State visit. He said, yeah, my brother has this school, has that school, that has that school. Ohio State treated him well, but Ohio State also has Larry Johnson. And he just left it there. He didn't elaborate, and I didn't think he needed to. Ohio State has Larry Johnson. And for guys on the interior of the defensive line, they are looking at Larry Johnson, and they're going to get the best of LJ. I mean, the absolute best. Let's just say this is possibly going to be Larry Johnson's last year coaching. I don't know. I don't want him to leave. He's in his early 70s, and we all know when you hit that age in coaching, the end is near. So I don't know when he's going to leave, but let's just say it's coming up. Wouldn't you want to go all out for your coach to help him go off and get another ring so he can lead college football on top once again? Wouldn't you want that to happen? I mean, Larry Johnson has a ring under Urban Meyer, has a ring under Ryan Day. Let's get another ring. And for him to get another ring, Edrick Houston would have to be a big reason why the Buckeyes defense was great once again. This defense is one that I believe is going to be great this year. Now, I don't think it'll be a massive drop-off. I think they can still keep that standard high. I don't know if they'll be as elite and efficient as they were last year, because that was some historic stuff they did last year. But if they want to reach that same goal, they absolutely must get a big year from Edrick Houston. And I am 100% on board with Edrick Houston, and a believer that Edrick Houston will be a big piece of the pie for the Buckeyes, that he will not only take the next step in his development, but that he is working to be a big-time leader for the Buckeyes in the fall. Speaking of Edrick Houston being a big-time leader for the Buckeyes in the fall, he's going to be competing for playing time with numerous guys on the interior of the defensive line. This is one of the position battles that I believe everyone should pay attention to during spring practice.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Number 1 ranked UConn dominated St. John's 85-49 on Sunday at Madison Square Garden, extending its winning streak to 47 games. The Huskies capped a perfect 31-0 regular season, including 20-0 in the Big East. UConn is winning by nearly 38 points per game, the third largest average margin in Division I history. Since 1999 to 2000, UConn has 9 undefeated regular seasons, as many as all other programs combined, and has turned 6 of those into national championships. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You'll be able to get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Buckeyes, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. Go to lockedonbuckeyes.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Ohio State is gearing up for what should be a very intense period of spring ball where the Buckeyes are going to get 15 practices, which will be celebrated at the end with the spring game. And the spring game is we're going to be looking for Edrick Houston and a lot of the young guys to see what they're going to be doing. But Edrick Houston is not only trying to take the next step this year in spring practice, but he's also going to be striving to get all the playing time he can get while competing to get on the field. And that's one of the things I love about Ryan Day and what he's used and how he's used the portal is he has forced guys that have been on the roster for 2 or 3 or 4 years to still compete and play their best to prove they can get on the field. And think about what this means for Edrick Houston. Edrick Houston, if Ryan Day didn't go to the portal this year, he would have walked into a room with Will Smith Jr., Jason Moore, and said, oh, great, man, I got this thing in the bag. I'm an automatic starter. But then when you go out there and get a John Walker and you get James Smith, all of a sudden Edrick Houston is thinking, oh, no. These guys aren't going to come in here and take my reps and take my snaps. They're not going to do that at all. I'm going to go out there and be number one in line in every drill. I'm going to go out there and show them how it's done. And I'm going to go out there and prove to everybody and their mama that when I'm 100% healthy, that I am the right guy to start at D tackle for Ohio State. And that should be his mindset, no matter what. That should automatically be his mindset. This is my job, and you're not going to take it away from me. You can't take it out of my hands. You can't do anything to take what is mine. And that's exactly how he should look at it. Now, if I'm James Smith, primarily James Smith, because I believe that these two guys are going to be 3 techs at Ohio State, these two guys are going to be battling. Former SEC player at Alabama, full-time, all-time Ohio State Big Ten player in Edrick Houston. They might have a little nastiness to him, a little dog get him and saying, oh, no. I'm coming into play if I'm James Smith. Edrick Houston, you're not taking my spot. This is mine. It was mine before you got here. It'll be mine while you're here in the season. But you got to prove it on the field. You 100% absolutely have to prove it on the field. That's difficult, but that's going to bring the best out of both of these players. And maybe that position battle isn't one during spring ball, and I surely hope it's not. I hope they go into summer workouts in the fall camp, and they're still grinding. They're still working. They're still battling. They're still trying to prove it to LJ and Matt Patricia that they are the guy to start at 3 tech. That's what you want. That's exactly what Ryan Day and Matt Patricia want. It's guys that are hungry to get on the field and that are going to push themselves every single day to prove that they have what it takes to be the guy starting at 3 tech. Now, on the interior of the D line, I think that one's going to be at 1 tech. That's going to be very interesting too. We're going to be sucked into the Edrick Houston, James Smith position battle, but at 1 tech, Will Smith Jr. is trying to still stunt like his daddy. He ain't trying to let John Walker come in and just take his snaps. No. Jason Moore, been around for a long time, entering year 4 at Ohio State. He is also trying to get on the field, and he's also trying to work with and compete with James Smith and John Walker and Will Smith Jr. to get all the snaps he can get. So it's not just an Edrick Houston, James Smith battle. I believe Will Smith Jr. and Jason Moore are going to be competing every single day to try to get on the field. This is going to be fun to watch the entire time. We're going to be detailing it multiple shows a day right here at Locked On Buckeyes. Make sure you subscribe right now so when spring ball starts next week, you're locked and ready to go. Turn the notifications on so every time a new episode drops, no matter if it's an audio episode or a video on the YouTube, you get notified on your phone so you can just go ahead, get the notification, and immediately hit play to get all the Buckeye news you need during spring ball, because it's going to come at you very, very quickly, because this is just one of the many position battles we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks. A few weeks ago, we talked about one for just the backup quarterback position between Tavian St. Clair and Justin Martin. Between those two guys at Ohio State, now Julian Saint has QB1 on lock. I don't believe either guys are going to take that title away from him. But QB2, if I'm Billy Fessler, I'm working with both of them. Justin Martin been around at two other Big Ten stops. He is a guy that's more seasoned, kind of a ring chaser when you think about the professional level. It's mainly in the NBA. I'm just chasing a ring. I'm going to this team, I'm going to that team, I'm going to that team. I'm just trying to chase a ring and get one before I retire. Well, Justin Martin, I don't believe he's going to play in the NFL, could possibly play in a spring football league or the CFL at the end of the day. But right now, he's still playing college football. And for him right now, his task is to win QB2. If I'm Tavian St. Clair, I don't want this old guy to come in and take what's mine. He's not really old, but you know what I'm talking about. He's not really old, but he's the elder statesman in the room. And when you hold that title, Tavian St. Clair, who's a youngster, can look out there and say, hey, man, got some years on me. And them years are going to hurt you in this battle to be QB2. And this is going to help Tavian St. Clair's development and push him to be a better football player for the Buckeyes. Isn't this what you want? I may sound like a broken record, but as a former football player and current podcaster, I remember what it was when I was in high school playing football in my high school days. I don't really talk about them just for obvious reasons, but you always want to find ways to push yourself to get better every single day. Maybe self-scout, watch film on yourself and see where you're doing things well, how you can improve, what lessons you're learning from what the coach implemented and said some things to you during practice in his instruction period. Figure out things in ways you can get better. And if that is going to the coach and trying to talk a little bit, do it. Because it's not only going to make you better as an individual player, it's going to make the team better. And that's the main goal right now for the D tackles in this position battle. No matter if it's for the 1 tech or the 3 tech, is to make sure that with everything you're doing things to make the team better. And if you're pushing yourself and the person you're pushing is pushing you, ultimately it's iron sharpens iron. And that is a great way for this D-line room that's losing a lot of guys from last year's team can be a unit right now that can be full of dogs. K Jack on the outside. I mean, he should have 10 to 13 sacks. You could say 15. I don't really want to go that high right now. He should easily have 10 to 13 sacks. Same thing when it comes to not so much sack production, but James Smith, John Walker, Edrick Houston, their numbers should go up from where they were a year ago. James Smith wasn't a consistent player for Alabama a year ago. That, I believe, should change. It's all in him. If he does what's needed to stay on the field more, his production should get better. Edrick Houston production from a year ago when he played in 13 of the 14 Buckeye games. He had 21 tackles, 4 TFLs, and 3 sacks. I would love to see the TFL and sack numbers doubled. Just doubled. A couple of PBUs would be great as well, but I won't grade a D tackle if he doesn't have many PBUs. It's not really a calling card, but a thing that you would say, yeah, this needs to happen. But 8 or more TFLs, at least 6 sacks, those are numbers that I don't believe are unrealistic for Edrick Houston. Those are attainable goals for him. But it's about him. One, proving he's worthy to be on the field, but also making sure that he is determined to be more consistent this year when he's on the football field. Speaking of more consistent, that word could describe and that phrase could describe Beau Atkinson and what he needs to be in 2026, as he is also another Buckeye who is in the midst of another position battle. This episode is brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you. Once again, head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. The biggest stretch of the college basketball season is here. Buzzer beaters, bracket busters, and those unforgettable moments that everyone's talking about the next day. Being there live for something like that, that's bucket list stuff. The harder part is always actually getting tickets, long queues, prices jumping around, and surprise fees at checkout. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay. Period. The seat view feature is a game changer. You can see a panoramic view from your exact seat before buying. Zone deals let you pick the section and save even more while Game Time selects the seats. I love being able to follow the teams in the app and get alerts when new deals drop. No stress, no guesswork, just a smooth experience from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you all for tapping and Locked on Buckeyes and for making this show your first listen of the day. Ohio State is in a great spot right now with the way the roster is constructed. While you're trying to replace 7 starters from last year's team, there are guys like Edrick Houston that's still on the team from last year that is ready to take the next step. Also, there are position battles on both sides of the ball that are going to be a lot of fun to watch. And one of them is between a couple of transfers. One in Beau Atkinson and one in Russaw. One transferred a year ago from North Carolina. One transferred this offseason from Alabama. Both guys are working to be backups at Ohio State. But not only being backups, it's possible that if one guy does not take the jump that Ohio State needs them to make, it could easily be Ohio State having a 3-man rotation at defensive end, except for a 4-man rotation, which I would be perfectly fine with. I would be perfectly fine with LJ saying, we only have 3. We don't have 4. We're going to rock with the 3 we got. And hopefully one of those guys could play on weak side, strong side, whatever the case may be. That's what I believe you also have too. You have positional versatility on the edge where one guy could play either side of the edge and be perfectly fine. You don't need one guy to always be on the weak side, another guy always on the strong side. No, you should be taught as a youngster to be able to play both sides, because you don't want to always have to jump back and forth and say, well, they audible, so we got to move ourselves so we are in the right spots. No, you need to be able to play both sides. And if I'm Beau Atkinson, Russaw coming into Ohio State is a major challenge to me, because not only is he competing with Russaw, Atkinson is also competing with Epi Settinelli. Now, Epi Settinelli is a second-year player at Ohio State. He redshirted last year. He is someone that I don't think any people have talked about over the past few months, because he's not a Kenyatta Jackson Jr. or a Zion Grady, who are the guys that are going to be starting for Ohio State. He's not an Alabama transfer like a Russaw. He was there last year, showed some flashes at times. He got a lot of praise from former Buckeyes and saying, oh, he's one of the next guys. I believe it was actually CJ Hicks who talked about Zion Grady and Epi Settinelli before last year, saying, oh, these young guys, they have it. They have what it takes. And with CJ Hicks gone, that does open the door for somebody else to step up and be a guy, because Hicks was expected to be a backup this year if he stayed at Ohio State. He's now at UCF. I believe it's a great move for him to go down to a school in the South, which is a school at a different level without the pressure, with a coach that you know you're very familiar with, to close your college football chapter and close it with a bang. You know who's also trying to have a bang this year is Beau Atkinson, because there have been a lot of people, myself included, that have been very, very critical of his play. It's inconsistent play. Sometimes even wondering why he's even on the field. Not because he's a horrible player, but the quick twitch and the bend that you want from a guy on the edge, he doesn't really have it. It doesn't seem like he is the quickest player when comparing him to a Kenyatta Jackson Jr. or a Zion Grady. So when you don't have that, but you have the prototypical Larry Johnson size that he wants on the edge, that may help you get to Ohio State and play a little bit, but that might not help you stay on the field, especially when you're getting a quick twitch guy in Quay Russaw that has a little bit of an edge to him. And I think that's one thing that Beau Atkinson needs to lean into. Create an edge. Figure out something that can allow you and force yourself to get a little edgy on the field. Now, it's easier said than done. Some guys have an edge and you do see it. Some guys have an edge, you don't see it, but it's clear when they play the football. Not someone that's talking like Edrick Houston or Jermaine Matthews Jr. No, not one of those talkers. No, but you can have an edge and it just shows up in your play. Like, I'm not letting this guy get an inch on me. And also, there are guys out there that need to create an edge and they don't have it. But Beau needs to get edgy. Get a little dirty. Not illegal, but get a little dirty. He needs to figure out how. He knows what to do, but work on how he can go about solidifying himself in the D-line rotation this year. Because part of me believes that what we saw last year from Beau Atkinson will continue in 2026. And unlike last year, where you're like, if the Buckeyes don't get this production from him, it's a problem. No, they'll just lean on, like I mentioned earlier, Quay Russaw. They'll lean on Ebby Santinelli. They may even try to put Raleigh Pettijohn on the edge and allow him to get a loose at that area. Why? Because Matt Patricia is not going to run the traditional 4-2-5 defense. It could be more 3 down fronts with stand-up guys on the outside. The stand-up guys could be an outside backer and an edge. It could be 2 edge rushers. It could be 2 outside backers. He's going to get very, very creative. And also with Beau Atkinson, if he is a guy that only can play on the edge and can't play on the interior, that limits his ability to be an impact player for the Buckeyes off the bench, and he will see less playing time. This is a moment where Beau Atkinson needs to take the next step. And I mean a massive step. I keep thinking in my head when I say take the next step to when Ryan Day got behind the podium at a presser and called out Jayden Ballard a couple of years ago. And I'm thinking, Ryan Day normally doesn't call a player like that, but he knows if he does it in this way, that the news and the message is going to get back to the player. That not only was Ryan Day having personal conversations with Jayden Ballard, that got back to the media, a room of 50 to 60 media members that are going to tweet it, share the video, put it up on the YouTube, and discuss it all over the place. Why? Because Ryan Day calling out a player needs to be talked about. And I don't know if Ryan Day will get to the point in a presser this year that he calls out Beau Atkinson for needing to step up and be a better player. He has the physical traits and attributes. He has the height, he has the weight, he has the size, has the length in the arms. He has wingspan. He has a lot of physical traits. But when you get out on the field, those traits don't help him become a better player. Well, they help become a better player, but you can't rely only on the traits that you possess and you provide for the team. You must lean on your development, your skill set, and being a better football player. And that's the goal. If it's boiled down to one simple statement, Beau Atkinson needs to become a better football player. That's it. If he can work on becoming a better football player, being more confident in what he provides to the team, this position battle between him and Quay Russaw, it's going to be fun to watch. But also, he's going to make it very hard for Larry Johnson and Matt Patricia to keep him off the field. I think Quay Russaw is going to find himself competing with Zion Grady, which is going to be a conversation we will potentially have later this week. I'm not really sure. On other shows, we're going to have other topics we're going to discuss on this show. But if you get a Quay Russaw, Zion Grady position battle for the other starting edge spot, I don't have popcorn next to me. But if I did, I would use it as a prop. I'll pull it over here, pull it up show it on the screen so you can all see the popcorn in my hand and just start. Hey, I got my popcorn ready. Do you have yours ready? Because this will be a lot of fun to watch. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen of the day. And make sure you make Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Buckeyes so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked On Buckeyes ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonbuckeyes.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Basketball. You can follow me on any social media platform at jsteven07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a hump day. We'll see you next time.